Greetings once again, my friends and my fellow Star Trek fans. Well, it must be that time again. We got another FanHome package in, and as usual, the mailman destroyed the box, so I'm hoping that the contents are okay. But it's been a month, and let's see what we got from FanHome. The box is a little bit larger, so I'm thinking we got something to do with the other nacelle, but we'll see. So let's go over to the desk where there's more room, and I'll show you guys the latest shipment in the FanHome build U.S.S. Enterprise NCC 1701D. Okay, you can see the box is all like crushed up, but hopefully everything inside is okay. And this is from FanHome. So let's open up the box. Let's see. Okay, so we got some packing material, and what we'll do is we'll go through everything really quickly, and then we'll do a little more detailed view of it. So we've got, look at the nacelle, the makings for another nacelle. We have 107. We've got 110, and look at, this is going to close in the bottom of the primary hull. Love it. Let's see, we've got 109, and it looks like these are components for the nacelles. And we've got 108, and you can see the frame. So the nacelle really was like not very hard to work on. It was pretty easy. And this is issue number. This is 28. We're going to have the instructions, and we're going to have the episode guide, and that's one of my favorite things about the magazine. Okay, first thing, so we have in this issue, you can see we have the instructions for stages 107, 108, 109, and 110. So then we go right to the episode guide. I love the episode guides. So stage 107, you can see the parts. We got the skin of the outer shell of one of the nacelles. We've got another section of the primary hull, and that's going to go underneath. You can see the backings for the lights themselves. Stage 108, we have the frame that the nacelle is going to go on. And we have the escape pod section to go on the plating, the hull plating for the bottom, and you can see some of the other pieces for the nacelles. So looking at stage 109, the parts list, you can see we have, looks like a light strip, and again it's going to be for inside the nacelle. We got more. You can see that's actually going to go where the impulse engine is on a primary hull. And looking over at 110, look at, we get the bottom. We can actually close in the primary hull. That is so cool. Okay, going to stage 107, assembly instructions. You guys, if you've been doing this, you know we've done like a million of these. We're going to put the windows in, and this is plastic. We're going to put the backings on. We're going to put one screw in. We're going to put it on the frame, and then we're going to pass the lights underneath and then screw them down. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, sorry. So you can see we're going to feed the LED through the frame, and we're going to put that into the circuit board over here. We got two of them, and it shows you how they want them to be coming through the frame. So what we can do is we can go ahead and put the lights in to the section with the windows, and then we're going to put it on to the part from last time. You can see how we're going to actually put it in. and that's going to really close it in. After that, we're going to start working on the nacelle. You can see we're just going to put one of the beacons in the back. On to stage 108, we got escape pods. We got to put into the sections. They're going to be held in place with HM screws in the backing, and you can see the outer edge, and that's going to go on the section. And then we're going to put the other one on there, where we did the one that's got the impulse engine section. That's a little ahead of ourselves. You can see we're going to put the Bussard collector area on. We're going to put the bottom plate. You can see we're going to put more of the escape pods held in place with AM screws, and we're going to put that into position. And the screw cover is actually an escape pod. So that's going to really start to close it in. Back to work on the nacelle. You can see we're going to put in a light strip. That's going to be to light the sides and the backs. And you can see the LEDs that are coming off of them. We're going to hold it in place with CP screws, and then we're going to put the screws in to hold the blue section in the back. And it's been a while since we did the other Bussard collector, but the LED actually goes into that large clear blue section, and then that goes into the frame. So moving on to 110. Look, we actually get to do the where we can start to close in the primary hull, and it's been so long since we started the primary hull. You guys remember? I think it was issue 2, issue 1 or 2, where we had the first pie wedge, where we started to put the frame together. It just seems so long ago. Moving on, you can see we're going to put the clear blue section onto the side of the nacelle. The nacelle is really relatively simple to put together. You can see another clear section that's going to go in there. And what these are going to do is these are going to help illuminate the sides of the nacelle without hot spots. So going over to this section, and this is, let's see, this is the saucer docking panel. Love it. So we got to put 2 windows on. We're going to hold them in place with AM screws, and it's interesting how they have the, see these little openings? Well, on the battle section, on the secondary hull, those don't come up. There's no way to get you to pull them up. So you must have to put it upside down and then put it into this and then click it into place. That's probably how we're going to do it. But we'll see after we get it done. And that is it. It doesn't actually show us putting it into the primary hull yet. So that's probably in issue 29. So we're going to go right in to the episode guides. And we're going to go into the episode Tapestry. Picard faces up his past, mashup of Christmas Carol and This Wonderful Life in Quantum Leap. So this is episode 6.15, and it premiered on February 15th of 1993. It was written by Ronald D. Moore and directed by Les Landau. Close to death on the operating table, Picard finds himself face to face with Q, who offers him the chance to steer his future in a different direction. Back when he was a wild and young cadet taking reckless chances. First seen in Tapestry, the Nausicans went on to feature in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise. And this would be Clive Church as a vision of Picard's father. The character was not seen again until Star Trek Picard, when he was played by James Callens. You're dead. This is the afterlife, and I'm God. Q to Jean-Luc Picard. You know, Q loves messing with with Picard. And let's see, what is this? The game of Domjot, frequently referenced in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, makes its debut in Tapestry. The playing table was designed by senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach, based on Ronald D. Moore's written description of a cross between billiards and craps. The next episode is Birthright, and we go into part 1. And that must have been Mr. Data's dreams. Data dreams at Deep Space Nine, while Worf sets off on adventure too big for one episode. This is episode 6.16 and premiered February 22nd of 1993. Written by Brannon Braga. Directed by Winrick Colby. Worf questions his belief that his father died at the Kittimer massacre when he learns of a Romulan prison camp for survivors. Meanwhile, Data discovers that he has the capacity to dream. And that's the first time we hear the Klingon, when Mr. Worf awakens the Klingons in the little coexisting habitat between the Romulans and the Klingons. So sha de ro. Alright, I'll stop. You can see Birthright Part 1 marked the first appearance of Deep Space Nine style uniforms on the Next Generation, such as that been worn on Deep Space Nine regular by Dr. Bashir. You can see the wing. That was actually one of the paintings. Let me see, what does this say? A section of Data's dream-inspired paintings. These were created by the art department staffers Alan Kobayashi, Jim Magdaleno, and Mike Okuda, using graphics software and then printing on canvas to create the on-screen props. And Mr. Data, I think he was showing Geordi his dreams of all his different paintings. Your father is part of you always, Worf to Data. And that's true. Dr. Soon. So now we go into part 2. You can see the picture of Worf. Shorn of subplots. This episode is a showcase for Michael Dorn under the guidance of Klingon culture expert Dan Curry. This is episode 6.17, premiered March 1st of 1993. Instead of finding his father alive in a Romulan prison camp, Worf instead discovers a group of Klingons who have turned their backs on traditional values that he holds dear, and they're actually living or coexisting with the Romulans. And this really rubs Mr. Worf the wrong way. This is James Cromwell as Star Trek's first Iridian, Jaglam Shrek. Cromwell also appeared in The Hunted, Season 4, and starred as Zephram Cochrane in Star Trek First Contact. That's awesome, I didn't know that. A place can be safe and still be a prison. Worf. Longtime effects guru, but first-time director Dan Curry talks Michael Dorn through a scene as Alan Scarf, who played Tokath, looks on. Scarf played another Romulan, Admiral Mendek, in Season 4's Data's Day, and like fellow Birthright Part 2 guest stars Jennifer Gaddy, Bale, went on to appear in Star Trek Voyager. Next episode we go to is Starship Mine. Star Trek does Die Hard, with a wealth of familiar guest stars, but a shortage of party guests. This is episode 6.18, premiered March 29th of 1993. Picard stands alone against a merciless band of thieves on board an evacuated and powdered down Enterprise. I'm wondering, is this the one where they had to evacuate the Enterprise to sweep with that beam to clean her out? Besides numerous Trek appearances, Patricia Tallman Kiros is best known as telepath Lita Alexander in the 90s sci-fi series Babylon 5. I'm not really into that series, guys. I have no idea what Babylon 5 is. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never actually watched it. A carrier base. This is Captain Picard. Deactivate the Byron sweep. The captain narrowly avoids death on the evacuated Enterprise. I think by that time he was all the way as far forward and 10 forward as you could get, the furthest part of the ship forward. Let's see, this is concept art from the Remlar Array by senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach, and that guy does amazing work. The physical version built by Greg Jean did not match the scale of the 4-foot Enterprise miniature as suggested by Sternbach here, meaning that the two models had to be filmed separately and combined in post-production. That's interesting. Greg Jean is another fantastic guy. You just got so much stuff from him. Matter of fact, you guys, if you're waiting for the Wand Company to release the tricorder, it was actually Greg Jean's actual props from the television series of the communicator, the phaser, and the tricorder that gave us those. Next episode we have is Lessons. This semi-sequel to The Inner Light uses music to explore Picard's more sentimental side. And Inner Light is just a masterpiece. It's an amazing episode. If you guys ever get a chance, if you're not familiar with it, you got to check it out. This is episode 6.19 and premiered April 5th of 1993. Picard falls in love with a new member of the Enterprise crew and struggles to reconcile his feelings with his public image and responsibilities. Prop makers, makeup and effects laboratories built two versions of Darren's piano bass, and this designed by senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach. One was flexible and the other one was a grid. I can assure you that I am not given to casual relationships, Captain Jean-Luc Picard to Nella Darren. You can see the flute. Picard's Resican flute was milled from aluminum and its storage case made from plastic. The prop flute was not a working musical instrument. In all three episodes with which it was played, The Inner Light, Fistful of Datas, and Lessons were overdubbed music, where it was coming from penny whistle played by flautist Bryce Martin. Flautist, excuse me. Beautiful. Imagine having that prop. Okay, it looks like we're going to move over to another episode. This one is titled The Chase. With echoes of the original series, this episode seeks to explain Star Trek's many similar-looking species. Anytime there's a throwback to the original, I just love, because that's my favorite. This is episode 6.20, and it premiered April 26 of 1993. Directed. A story by Ronald D. Moore and Joe Menosky. A visit from Picard's former archaeological teacher draws the Enterprise into a race to uncover a cosmic mystery. You remember that was almost like a, what do you call, scavenger hunt. You can see a Cardassian. Linda Thorson as Okette, Star Trek's first adult female Cardassian. Thorson rose to fame in the 1960s, starring in cult spy series The Avengers. And I'm not familiar with that series, unfortunately. It would seem that we are not completely dissimilar after all, the Romulan captain to Jean-Luc Picard. You can see another little illustration. Senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach's concept art for the Kurian Naskos. The final prop was built by special effects artist Christopher Bergschneider. That is really cool. Rick Sternbach has come up with some just really fascinating, amazing stuff. And this was one of my favorite episodes. I love this one. This one is titled Frame of Mind. Like First Contact and Schisms before it, this episode puts Riker through the ringer in an alien operating table. In Schisms, that was really cool as well. I had shown you guys, we spoke about that episode. This is episode 6.21, and this premiered May 3rd of 1993. Riker fears that he is losing his mind when he finds himself shifting between life and the Enterprise and an existence as an asylum inmate under suspicion of murder. So he thinks he's going crazy, and he's in therapy, and he's talking to the doctor, and in the background he would see like Dr. Crusher walking around, or Mr. Worf, and they're looking for him. And his mind is trying to keep himself rationalized because he's actually, in fact, held captive. But It's a really amazing episode. And they're doing a play on the Enterprise, and that had a big thing to do with connecting Riker to his sanity. So what ended up happening was, at the end of the episode, he finally realized what was going on, but he actually had to take the set down for the play because he didn't want it up anymore. But this is a great episode. I may be surrounded by insanity, but I am not insane. William Riker. And look at some of the illustrations. Concept art for Riker's Telonian pendant by senior illustrator and technical consultant Rick Sternbach. And on the bottom, let's see, during production for Frame of Mind, the crew met a young fan and presented him with an autographed script as part of the Starlight Foundation's program to grant wishes to children living with a terminal illness. Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure that kid will never forget that. Okay, now we go to the next episode, which is titled Suspicions. How an environmental allergy for Worf turned into a flashback murder mystery for Dr. Crusher. This is episode 6.22 and premiered on May 10th of 1993. Dr. Crusher risks everything to uncover the truth about a new kind of shield technology and the death of its inventor. You see a lovely picture of the lovely Dr. Crusher. I am not a doctor on this ship anymore. Beverly Crusher. One of several publicity photos for Suspicion showing Gates McFadden in a rare change of costume. And is that everything? That is everything in this shipment number 28 of Star Trek, The Next Generation, build the U.S.S. Enterprise NCC 1701D. You can see the nacelle. All right, so let's put this over here, and now we can have some fun and actually go through some of the issues. So the first one. So we have issue number 107. Let's get this open. Scissors. First thing I notice, we got this big, beautiful shell of the Bessard collector. Look at that. This is beautiful. This is metal. You can always tell if it comes in a plastic tray. And look at that. We got the Starfleet emblem on top. And I do believe this is the top of the nacelle. You can see where the flashing beacon is going to go. And up front with the Bessard collector. I mean, this is going to be so nice. Because we did the other one. So the other one's been ready for a while. And we finally get to put the matching pair up. Okay, what else we got? We got a lot of windows. So we got the room lights that are off. We've got 1.5 trees. And we have 1.5 trees of the room lights that are going to be on. Let's see. We've got the backings to light the windows. You can see where the bulbs are going to go in the squares. Looks like we have screws. Looks like we got FM. And these AM, no, these are AP screws because they're going into plastic. Okay. And we have the green beacon. So of course green is starboard. The red, the port side had the red one. You can see the plating that's going to go on the bottom of the primary hull, where we're going to put all the windows in. And this is plastic. And lastly, we have lights. And these are a pair of lights, and they go down to the 4-pinned clip. And this one is a single bulb, again going to the 4-pin clip. So that was everything in issue number 107. Is that everything? All right, first thing I notice is we got the section for the primary hull with the escape pod openings, and that's where the screw cover is going to go. And I hope you guys can see the Aztecing. It's awesome. We got screw packets now. Let's see, we got more of the FM. We've got the IM, and we got more. These look like HM screws. What is this now? This is actually the backing for the escape pods, and we have the frame for the nacelle. So it's plastic, but it is still pretty rugged. But we got to remember when we're putting all the screws in not to over tighten them because we'll strip it. Next over we have escape pods, 2 trees, and I told you about the little screw cover that looks like an escape pod. Then we have where the Bussard collector, and this is actually metal, and hopefully you can see that beautiful Aztecing pattern on it. Now it looks like we have the outer rim, and we have more screws. All right, we got BM, and what is this? These are AM screws. And lastly, we have the section that's going to go right behind the Bussard collectors. You guys remember, or maybe not remember, but when we first got this way back in I think it was issue 3, where we had the Bussard collector. It could have been issue 2, I'm not sure, but they were actually yellow. And when we put everything together, I'll show you guys the one that they sent replacements for, because they were yellow, but they changed it to kind of an orange. And that was everything in issue number 108. Okay, now we're going to move on to issue number 109. Well, those don't want to come out, so I'll show you guys. We got a packet of AM screws. I'll stay in there for now, so let me show you guys the back of the nacelle. This is going to light up blue, and it's interesting how they do it, because we have, let me see if I can get this out for you guys. There we go. See this? We have a clear piece. And what this is going to do is it's going to go into the blue clear piece. It's going to go just like that. And then this is going to go in where the light goes up against the plastic clear white piece and will light up the whole thing, and there'll be no hot spots. So it's really a good idea how they engineered that. We have 3.5 of escape pods. We've got FM screws, and what's this one? This is AP screws because they're going into plastic. We got another packet. This is what? This is the CP screws. And lastly, you can see we have a backing for the escape pods, and I'll get to that in a minute. So you can see we have it's like a circuit board that's going to go, and it's going to power the nacelle. This is going to light it, and the circuit board is going to control the blinking beacon in the back. You can see with a light for the Bussard collector. So this is the brains of the nacelle. And let's see, oh, let me show you this before. We got the little screw cover, and that is the escape pods. And lastly, we've got the DP screws. So to total up all the screws we use in this model at the very end, I mean, it's going to be thousands of screws. At least that's what it feels like. And lastly, you can see the section that's going to go on the bottom of the primary hull, right where the impulse engine is going to be. And these are metal, and hopefully you can see the beautiful Aztecing and the markings in front of the impulse engine. And that's everything in issue number 109. And lastly, we've got issue number 110. Can't wait to get into this one. Alright, so this doesn't want to come out for now. So these are little stickers. These are either be tape for holding down the wires. But that's everything in 110. So let's start out with the sides. These are going to be the sides for the nacelles. And what this does is, you can see where this is actually going to go inside of this section, and what it's actually going to do is actually going to diffuse the light. It's going to do a really good job. There are going to be no hot spots on the outside looking in for the nacelle. You can see the clear sides that are going to go at the back, up forward towards the Bussard collector, and then the section that's going to go all the way around and connect with the kind of like the fantail shape of the back. We have a couple of more things for the lights to diffuse the lights. In clear, let's see, we have the room lights that are on and the room lights that are off, and we have 5 on each tree. And these were the window backings that they were talking about that are going to go on either side of this. So I'm wondering, it looks like there's going to be a light that's going to go on either side. We do have a bag of screws. We got 8-piece screws in this one. And finally, let's look at this wonderful, wonderful part. And this is all metal. This looks so cool. You can see it looks like there's going to be lights on either side. You can see the screw holes. You can see where I think the transporter emitters are going to go. And then we have more windows. And you can see the marking up top. And you can see how the battle section is going to fit in. So there's going to be, there's a possibility that we might be able to actually put her on the stand after we get done building this issue, where she could be on the stand with the saucer section on. How cool would that be? Plus one of the nacelles, and she's really starting to get that finished look. So that was everything in issue number 110. And there you have it, my friends. We're starting to close in and actually see the finish line. This was shipment number 28, and we have issues number 107, 108, 109, and 110. So my friends, I'd like to do separate videos for the build and the unboxing, and I've done this for all 28 shipments up till this point. If you want to see what's in each shipment, I've done a total unboxing video, and we go through completely the magazine And then when we go on to the build, I'm not going to go over anything that we get in the shipment. We're just going to do the build. If you want to know what's in it, that's what these are for. So my friends, we're going to be doing the build in my next video. And until then, thank you so much for watching, my friends, and I'll talk to you guys soon.